Oh yeah, it's a little bit premature, but believe it or not, I have plenty of energy right now. I feel pretty good. I feel better than last. I feel better than 3 years ago because 3 years ago I was so out of gas, and I don't want to think about it today right now. Maybe it would be nice to run a different one. It felt like some of the stretches this year, because I knew the course, just like in the deep sea. By the time we got to the aid station, I thought, oh wow, at least it's not as eternal as I thought it was going to be. Okay. I was much more nervous this time than the previous time, just because the magic of the first one is just unique. It's just, in the first one, you're just out there without no expectations, just enjoying yourself, and it's the first time. The second one, because I did a sub 24, the bar was higher. However, I knew that the course was going to be longer because they had added Duncan Canyon, which adds anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes to the race. And really, honestly, I thought if everything goes perfectly well, if I don't have any major problems, I should be able to finish under 24, even with the added time from Duncan Canyon. But if I have any problems, I probably won't make it. This year, it was a little bit longer, because by the time we got to Duncan Canyon, to Robinson Flat, instead of having 23 miles, I already had almost 30 miles. With a major downhill, was pretty exposed, but it was pretty. I did enjoy it. But I was also, your mind plays tricks with you, because I remember how bad my quads felt 3 years ago, and I was very conservative and very nervous about trashing my quads so early. So it wasn't as, as innocent as 3 years ago, because I knew that it was going to be harder anyway. So, but the minute I saw you guys, it's just like they inject some energy, and just that keeps you going. So by the time I got to Robinson, I was happy to see you guys, and I was in decent shape. Okay. All right. Michigan Bluff. By the time I got to Michigan Bluff, I was a little bit down. I was thinking that I was having discomfort, and the last canyon that I went downhill, I was really, really not feeling good. I was a little bit lightheaded. I remember going slow in the downhill that I usually like, and I'm thinking, this sucks. And I trying to adjust my expectations, and I remember thinking, as soon as I get to Michigan Bluff, I'm going to tell everybody to chill out and stop thinking about even dreaming about the 24 hours, because the pace I'm going, I should say the way I'm feeling is not ideal. I just don't feel great, and my stomach was not feeling great, and it just didn't feel like I was completely there. And I think by the time I got to Michigan Bluff, you guys were saying that I looked like crap, so. Okay, the stretch from Michigan Bluff to Forest Hill actually was pretty good for me. I passed quite a few people. It just seems like, seeing my family re-energized me, and you start with a small downhill, and then you go up. And I was running some of the uphill, actually, and when I was not running up, I was power walking. So I felt pretty decent. It seems like it wasn't as hot, and I saw them, and I knew also that I was going to see them just shortly after, so that kind of helped. And when I got to Forest Hill, I was feeling good. But anticipating what I considered the part that was probably the most boring and difficult for me, which is going to the river, because 3 years ago I remember my quads were so shut down that it was really, really, really hard for me to go. So I was not I was not in the most positive mind frame at that point. Right. Okay, down the hill. That section was Layla was great. That stretch was difficult, because that's when I start to have some really serious stomach problems, and so the legs, which I thought was going to be my main fear, that really wasn't even an issue. Physically, I was exhausted, but it wasn't so bad. And Layla just kept talking. I told her, she said, okay, so I'm going to tell you my story. This starts in 1979. So she started to tell me the story, and this is cool. I really remember everything, since she was born and how she lived in Iran and the whole thing. So she will tell me all those stories, and once in a while I'll stop her for me, because I had to take care of some businesses. But she kept me distracted as much as she could. So we kept rolling and moving and stopping. But it was really, really great that she kept my mind distracted. Okay, oh, well, Rocky Choke is always probably my favorite aid station because my favorite people is there. The first person that I saw is Nancy, and then Jim, and Jim's like, everybody's waiting for you. You're going to be a celebrity there. It's like, oh God, the last thing I know is I need is attention, right? Because I kind of felt like I was kind of struggling with this. I truly didn't know if I was going to be able to continue for 20 miles because my stomach was just so screwed up. And then we got there, and I decided not to change shoes. I decided not to change any clothes, just keep on going, because I figure if I'm going to be crawling the last 20 miles, I may as well continue. But I had set up this flashlight for my stomach, which is going to be very loose and very easy because I don't like to have my light on my head, and we couldn't find it. So I was getting a little bit anxious because I bought the flashlight. I set up 2 flashlights. It was going to be supposedly the perfect situation, and everything was perfect up until this point, and then we didn't find it. And so I left Rocky Choki really, really sad because Tim yelled at me in front of everybody. I just remember him, and I know he was trying to do it the right way, but it really didn't come out right. And I just saw all of my friends looking at me, and I was just so sad that I was like, I'm out of here, you know. So I was a little bit resentful with Tim for a little bit because he needs to understand that, you know, in those situations, yeah, we runners have the right to be upset sometimes. And just the fact that he yelled at me in front of my friends, it was really a bad thing for me.
Okay,
Actually, that was the easiest part of the race because we were walking, and it was a nice pace. But then Diane told me, she gave me a Red Bull, and she said, Anna said that you have to drink this Red Bull, and she was right. I mean, I thought that I needed that before the night. And I took the Red Bull, and 2 minutes later, my whole body protested and rejected, and I had to stop, and I threw up so bad. I mean, Nicole can tell you, it was just my whole system, and it was just so bad. We stopped there until I felt a little bit better, and I kind of felt bad because Nicole was there looking at me, and I thought, oh my God, she's going to think her mom is dying. And then we kept on going. I was just following Karen. It was the middle of the night. They're all single trails. And all of a sudden we're going up, 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 up. And I'm thinking, this is a lot of more uphill than I remember. And then Karen stopped and said, wait a minute. She broke a spider web that was covering the whole trail, which was kind of interesting. And then she and I come to the realization that, wait a minute, if there's a whole spider web, that means that no runners have come through. And then she turned around and she asked me, have you seen any markers lately? And I said, no, I think we're lost. We better turn around. And so we turned around. Okay. Just prior to those 2 aid stations, there were 2 other aid stations, by the way, which are the most difficult because they are in the middle of the night, and you still have a long haul to go. You still have more than 10 miles to go. So those are Auburn Lake Trails and Browns Bar. So those were tough, but we moved through. And in Auburn Lake Trail, by the way, we saw Greg Nako completely wasted. And the minute he saw me, I think Jed kind of told him, okay, we're leaving, and they took off, right? But anyway, Highway 49 in Nohans Bridge, I was just in autopilot. I knew I just had to keep moving, and I was tired, and you have to realize that since Rocky Choki, I ate very little. I had no food, not a lot of food, so it was a struggle for me to keep moving, but I just went through those 8 stations and didn't stop much and just kept walking and kept running because we have to keep moving. Well, you asked me about the finish line, but I have to tell you that before, you don't want to ask me about Robbie Point, and you don't have to put this in the video, but once you get Robbie Point, you get to Civilization, it's pavement. You still have uphill. And then Karen really started pushing me, like, you have to run fast, or if you're going to walk, it has to be really power walk. And so we made a mission to just push as far as I can. And in all the downhill, we were running, or marching. And I actually felt decent. I felt like I could push. At that point, the race is over. I was just so happy. I had no clue. If I was going to make it to the 24 hours. In my mind, it was just we had lost the 24 hours long time ago. And it's not until we actually got to the stadium that finally Karen said, she made it. She made it. And I think I got the point, like, she made it under 24. And I was, cool, how much do I have to go around the lap? I mean, 1 minute or 10 seconds or 4 minutes, and then when I turned around, I was running really fast. Well, in my eyes, fast because I wanted to see how much time I had left. And so when I turned around, I saw that it was 53 minutes. So I have plenty of time to cross the finish line. So it was pretty good. But I was, pushing. Of course, I remember Nicole and Isabella and Karen so excited, and you next to me, and Jim, right? What? And Vicky and Jim, yeah.
Okay, so
Nicole, enough.
It's the guy with the red jacket.
What went through my mind? I was happy. I could not believe that after all the struggles, I broke the 24. But it's hard for me to say it. But then then the lady, she took my pulse and she said, "Well, your pulse is high." And I'm thinking, I'm sprinting, lady, because most of the runners, some of them, especially if you have time, they go really slow. But I was trying to push as hard as I could. So obviously my pulse was high, and she was worried about me. But you saw me, and after that I was walking, and I was in good spirits, and actually went and saw Greg and Gary Wang, and I thought, oh my God, and I thought I was, tired. So I think I was really happy that I never thought I was going to make the 24, so I was happy. Vicky, so incredible, so committed, and so unconditional, and she gave it all. I mean, I'm will for always be so grateful, Vicky. So into it. She did her homework, and she came to the race having done more research than I had done myself. And so she committed to do it, and she did it 100%. Well, in every aid station, she was right next to me, just looking at me and see what I needed. She had everything ready. Oh, my favorite moment is coming down to Nohan's Bridge, and I turn around the curve where you see the lights on Nohan Bridge, and I see a man with a cameraman, very quiet, and it was Tim. He's like, "Oh, there's Tim." He was always with his camera waiting for me.
For what I did.
Well, just to try to keep everybody together and be the driver, and I think you felt like you were the person who was driving the ship, even though you were not. You had your Indians, but you were in my eyes, you were the one in charge.
Okay, remembering her.
Well, Anna, I didn't know that Anna was going to be there for me at Michigan Bluff because she had other responsibilities. But the minute I saw her, I can totally see how experience shows, and she knew what she was doing. She asked the right questions, and she asked me, Florencia, do you want this? And just having Anna there, in that aid station just gives me this reassurance, because she knows exactly what I need, because she's been there, and so she's very together. She knows exactly what needs to be done in every aid station. So Anna is just priceless.
Layla.
Layla is just so much fun to have around, and it's just so refreshing when you're so down to have somebody that is so up, and I really, really enjoy Layla. It must have been so hard for her to keep talking for miles and miles just to keep my mind out of its misery, and it's just not hard, and she was just so upbeat and so incredible and so positive, and that's exactly what you need. And then sometimes in a very casual way, she will overlap in the conversation. If I start walking and she was talking about the story, and she will say, okay, now it's flat, we can start jogging, right? So she kept me in pace without really me noticing it. So it was really great. Karen has the toughest. Well, no, with Layla was also very difficult because my stomach was at its worst. But Karen had the night, so she didn't even have the enjoyment of seeing anything, because at least Layla was like, oh God, look, this is so beautiful. Look at the river. The poor Karen, she just runs at night, and she needs to be aware of the markings and everything. And with Karen, I did less talking. So what I did with Karen, she focused on the pace, she focused on the trail. I was counting, and I said, let's see, I'm going to count from 1 to 200, and it's 5 miles. Maybe if I do this 7 or 8 times, I'm going to get to the 8 senses. And it really worked. But when really Karen came to really play a very important part is when we got to Highway 49 and the last few miles of the race. She just kept me moving. No resting for me. She got me through. If I didn't have Karen, I'll be on the other side of the 24 hours. Nicole, try to keep me positive. Just being there and bringing God into the picture. Mom, you have to have faith. You have to be positive. Remember what I said. So she really was talking like my mom, like using the words that I use as a mom, and she was just using their words.
When you saw her.
Okay, Mom, what do you mean? Like, she was there in all the 8 stations. She wanted to be part of my crew, and her job was keeping my mind, practicing what I preached, pretty much.
But Isabella?
Isabella, such a low-key and humble person. She really did not seem to overwhelm you. She just looked at everybody and she stayed back. If she was going to be like, she wasn't needed, she was just right there next to me. And but what I remember about Isabella is just how cheery was when I was leaving an aid station, and she just ran next to me, just like she did in Michigan Wolf 3 years ago when she talked about, Mom, look at my blue shoes, look at my new shoes. Isabella also was the main character on Friday with her purple wig. Too bad she didn't have it on race day, but her smile, that's what I remember the most.
You know, you haven't so.
Oh yes, she was a person girl. Yes.
What was she?
Huh? She had a camera with her a lot of times.
Okay. And
Jim was there in all the aid stations, and he was usually one of the first people that I saw. And I remember seeing him at the river, and I remember seeing him in Forest Hill and Michigan Bluff, and just so incredible to see him living with me this experience. It was because I know that he likes me doing this. Mom was like the mom from everybody. She is so smart that she knows that I have a full crew. She knows that I have 2 daughters, a husband, and all my friends. And she was there behind the scenes just in case I knew if everything was needed with the girls or with any problem. She was there to support not necessarily me directly, but those who were supporting me. So it was nice to have her, because if at some point any of us had a problem, especially the girls, then you could be, she could be helping you with the girls. So she's a huge part of the crew. And it's like post-production kind of thing. I will say what makes Western States so magical is that it's so fucking difficult. Sorry, kids.
dime en español.
Está increíblemente cabrona. Es una cosa cabroncísima de hacer.